Okay, gents, Newcastle against Chelsea is another really tasty game in the Premier League. Who would have said Newcastle would be ahead of Chelsea heading into this game at this stage of the season? Newcastle third, absolutely flying. Nick Mendola, our resident Newcastle fan. Chelsea in seventh place. I mean, Nick, I'm going to come to you. Do you think they can get over this slump right now? Because there's already a lot of question marks around Graham Potter. Oh, is he the right man? There's murmurings going on. Way too early for that. But you know how it goes, especially at Chelsea. And I think historically, their fans are just programmed now under Roman Abramovich and all those years and decades of success. Whenever they lose a few games, and they haven't lost 3 games in a row in a very, very long time in all competitions, and that's what they go up to Newcastle having done. So it's weird for Chelsea. I think a really strange situation, and they have to have some patience. But Newcastle are not the team you want to be facing right now if you need a result. So Magpies are flying. What are you expecting from this one?
Listen, they got to stick with Graham Potter. First of all, you know how much I'm almost as big a fan of him as I am of Newcastle. But they made so many changes at Chelsea this summer. So many changes. And it was already weird that they got rid of Thomas Tuchel, although I think we understand why. If some of the stories that have come out since then, I have to look at this and think that there's a long-term plan in place. And if not, then I'm very concerned as a Chelsea fan. I'm very concerned about the direction of my club if it's not going as well under Potter. The idea of quick changes and big dramatic changes at Chelsea and the fact that we got used to that under previous ownership is one thing. To have that happen under a new one, let's not get caught up in the same exact saying, oh, it's just more of the same. No, it's a different administration doing it. And they already made a huge change in firing a Champions League winning coach. The one thing I think that Newcastle has going for itself besides form is that so many of their players from a previous regime, and in this case, we're talking about ownership, the guys that were purchased under a previous owner are coming good and looking better under Eddie Howe. So as much as I'd love to talk to you about Sven Botman, who's been fantastic, and Bruno, who's been fantastic, and we haven't seen Alexander Isak through injury, there are guys who just look incredible. Joe Willock, Miguel Almiron, who am I missing here? Fabian Schär is the one I wanted to point out. The 3 players who have looked so good. And the only change for them, besides obviously the supporting cast around them, is their coach. And I think Eddie Howe right now is further along in his project that Graham Potter is. And that's what gives me hope. Put the rosters up next to each other, and I would tell you I expect Chelsea to win. But there is an understanding at Newcastle right now.
Andy, and I think the key to that understanding that Nick has just mentioned is defensively. They look so solid, Newcastle, and then when they are getting chances, they're clinical. We saw it against Southampton last weekend. 4 shots, 4 goals, boom. Not even playing at their best right now, Eddie Howe said after that game, but they have to be, he said, we have to be really happy we're scoring 4 goals and winning games in the Premier League, and we're not even reaching the high levels that we set for ourselves this season. But, you know, this is, I think, a massive game for Chelsea ahead of the break and for Potter. I'm not saying he's under pressure or whatever, but to go into a World Cup break after beating a team in the top 4 that's flying and get closer to the top 4 yourself after a few wobbles in recent weeks, that would be huge for Chelsea, wouldn't it?
It would, especially with the injuries that they've got right now. Yeah. Starting midfielder, been out for weeks or a couple months. Starting previously backup goalkeeper, became starting goalkeeper, played really well, also out. Starting / backup left back, starting center back, starting right back. Like, these are very, very key positions and all kind of in a unit together where they give Chelsea defensive solidity. And that's been one of the things that over the last couple seasons, at least under Tuchel, always gave them a shot in every single game. If they were not creating chances, if they weren't putting chances away, you knew the other team was rarely going to score more than 1 goal. And so you were always going to have a chance to get a result. I don't think Chelsea has that right now. Obviously, the squad is a little bit imbalanced for all the reasons that Nick mentioned, the amount of changeover that happened in the summer. I do think that is going to lag behind a little bit. Maybe they jump on things and they get really busy in January due to 1, the injuries, 2, the World Cup happening, and 3, seeing just how open kind of the top 4 is in the Premier League this season with Newcastle kind of pushing in there and trying to make their way into the conversation. So this is a fascinating matchup going into the weekend because I don't think it says, at least with the players that are going to be available to play this weekend, the golfing class is not quite as wide as you might look on paper and say, oh, Chelsea, Newcastle. I know they got money, but they've not spent as much of it as Chelsea has. So this still should be Chelsea. I don't totally agree with that.
Yeah, the injuries are key for Chelsea, aren't they? It just kind of balances it back that they are a top 4 team when you look at everyone being fit, but just brings all these other teams into the mix once they have a few big injuries. And they've been unlucky with that, trying to find their feet, philosophy, identity, trying all kinds of players. And going forward, that's been the biggest disappointment, I think, for Chelsea, and very similar issues that Graham Potter had at Brighton, right? And that was just one of the factors that you thought maybe would be difficult for him to solve at Chelsea, given Thomas Tuchel's struggles as well. Nick, score prediction coming to you, my friend.
1-1. This is crazy for me to say after years of going 3-4 games without a goal. I can't see a Newcastle game happening without the Magpies scoring. So 1-1.
Yeah, I'm going with you. I'm going 1-1 as well. Andy, what you got?
3-2 Newcastle.
Oh, wow. Goals galore.
You're right.
Yeah, that would be a cracker at St. James's Park. Okay, head over to PST for the latest on Newcastle against Chelsea. How to watch information, preview, team news. We'll have you covered. Massive game between the current top 4 team, Newcastle, against top 4 hopefuls, Chelsea. Let's see how it goes. But this is a big game for Eddie Howe and Graham Potter and their rebuilds of those clubs and their projects. And yeah, really intriguing game tactically, especially with the players out for Chelsea this weekend.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.